Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Jared at 3C's Recreation. Very excited to finally give you guys a 4-stroke race edition review on the 2024 models. It's taken me a while to do it. Shop's been super busy, so thanks for waiting. And over here you will notice this is the POP kit. Beta made me buy this little flag thing, so I am going to use it as much as possible to get my 30 bucks back out of it. So cool Beta flag. I have a little tag. It's going to give me a cheat sheet. But let's jump into this new 4-stroke model for 2024 and we'll go from there. All right, let's check out this new bike. So what we have is the all new blue plastics on the race editions. They just came out with this graphic and plastic kit. So if you have an older model, 2020 and newer, you guys can update your plastics. It is on back order, so give me a little bit before they get them back. You will notice the new handguards. They finally brought these out. So they kind of introduced those last year. None of the bikes shipped with them. So finally, for 2024, we're getting that handguard. Little Dan just stuck a set of those on his race bike. It looks pretty cool on there. And with the race editions, let's just talk about like race edition features and what you get. So first thing you're going to notice is the KYB forks. They don't say it. I wish Beta would put a KYB sticker on there. Might as well brag about it because people love the KYB stuff. And then down here, it does have the KYB shock as well. So closed cartridge forks, a little stiffer. So if you're just going to do trail riding, I'm going to push you toward the RR line, not the race edition. If you're going to race or do moto stuff a little bit here and there, we're going to go race edition for you guys. So the race editions come with the different forks and the shock. They have the front axle pull. So if you look down here, you just pull out on this, slide it back in, and then the race editions have a lot of bling. So the 4-stroke motors have a lot more need. They've got the little plugs up top, oil fill, check bolt, and then they have like the black anodized foot peg and shifter. So you'll notice the shifter on the other side is also black. They've got the bigger foot pegs. Actually, I wouldn't say bigger because the standard models, they did a good job widening those foot pegs. In the past, this is a pretty good feature, but at least now they're a black anodized look on the race models. You'll notice back here, they also have the red anodized chain block adjusters. So you just, loosen this with your 12, spin it out, adjust your chain where you want it. And you will notice on the other side that the race editions come with a dual composite rear sprocket, which is nice. It's got the steel outer, so it's going to have a longer lasting wear, but a lighter inner. So people like that. A little more money to buy into this system, but it lasts really long. And we should talk about this chain. It's a DID chain. They last forever. A lot of folks get a complete season out of the stock chain. So, back in my Suzuki days, you pretty much took the chain off and threw it away as soon as you got it. The race editions have the red chain guide here on the bottom. They've got the red plug on this side as well. And so other race edition features. So for this year, they added traction control to the race editions. This is probably one of the only updates on the 2024 race editions is traction control. So I read the press release again this morning, and there's really not a lot from 23 to 24 that changes other than the plastics and the traction control and the handguard. So let's run over the handlebars next. So on the race editions, they're still giving you guys the full control block on the left-hand side, high beam, low beam, horn, left and right turn signals. Now the bikes are all pre-wired for turn signals. I kind of feel like on these race editions, they need to lose that. I just want a regular kill and a start button. We're not buying this bike to make it street legal. Especially in New York, we can't even do it anymore. In the middle, we have our standard display. If I turn the wheel fast enough, I can trip that. So I'm trying to, there we go. So miles per hour on this side. And let me just try to hit this button here for you guys. Odometer, trip A. This might be really hard to see. Trip B, which has some hour meter options. Hour meter A, B, and then total, and then back to odometer. So a couple different things you can do there. And my gimbal just went crazy. And try to get this thing to wake back up. There we go. And on this side, we just have the kill switch and the start button, and we'll start this bike here in just a minute for you guys, and then the throttle, front brake, and clutch lever. So those are our controls. So these 4-stroke race editions still come with the halogen headlight bulb in there, and they make an LED insert. It's a little over 100 bucks. It's well worth it. Works really good on the race editions. And then we do have the taillight and brake light back here. And if it was my bike and I was going to ride this thing, we would remove the brake sensor bolts because race editions, we don't want any of that stuff on there. And this is the new master cylinder, which they did not talk about in the press release, or at least I didn't catch it. So that is one other difference. This is all redesigned here. Pretty cool. It's a lot fatter. It used to be more of a round tube. So the way that this works, I think the brake line still has really good routing through there. Looks nice and clean. This is all the same back here, but this is new until we get this bike on the track. Oh, and speaking of that, we just got notice of our first 450 RX that is shipped, just shipped yesterday. And the good news is we're going to compare this bike. This is my dad's. We're going to keep it here at the shop. We have a full slip-on we're going to put on it and all the guards. I'm going to build it up for him. And we're going to have a lot of footage on this bike throughout the summer. And we're going to go out to an indoor track in like a week now that we know when the RX is coming. And we're going to compare the RX versus 430 race. So stay tuned on the channel for that video. Let's give you guys a preview under the seat of this thing. So I'm going to pull my little flag out here. You push on the side with a button, pull back on it. Now the RX is a little bit different, which I won't get into as much because it's a different video. But when I was in Detroit last weekend for the Supercross, the button is different on the side. So I'm really excited to get that here and show you guys how that works. Starter solenoid, fuses, the battery on the top here, rollover sensor. And then let me pop this open if my fingers will do it this morning. It's pretty cold out here. It's actually warm. It's February 8th, I think today is, and it's like 50 it's going to be 50 this afternoon. So pretty excited about how warm it's going to be today. And in here, you will notice this is our air filter cage. Easy to pop out. You just pull down on this tab and rock the air filter right out. So air filter service, side panel, no tools needed. Pop it in and out. And we always take these and grease the back side of those. But I really like the channel on the Beta. If you look here all the way around, it's got a lip, so it really seals that air filter good. And you can't center it wrong with that big lip. It really just kind of falls into place there. Airbox is easy to kind of navigate, get around in. This is our oil sight glass for the engine side. And we need to talk about this. The Beta is a split cased engine design on the 4-strokes. So our clutch oil and fiber are on that side of the bike, and our engine oil is on this side of the bike. So your clutch fibers are not running through the whole motor. I absolutely love that design on these Betas. It is a huge feature and something that I don't think enough people pay attention to. So when you do your oil changes, you're actually changing 2 different compartments. Oh, and there's our oil filter back there. Easy to get to. You take the skid plate off, pop those 2 bolts out and pull the filter right out. So I have procedures on the channel on how to change the oil. It's getting windy out here. I just put the seat back on the bike. So last thing I want to do for you guys is start this thing. I did warm it up already before I started the video a couple minutes ago. One other thing on these Beta 4-strokes and nobody else is really doing is we can still add the kickstart kit. Now be careful with this. So if you have a dead battery, nothing's going to work anyway. Once the battery is dead, you need 12 volts for the fuel injection system to work. Where this kickstart kit is nice is if your starter fails or a pinched wire somewhere, you can still get out of the woods. So don't buy a 4-stroke thinking, well, if I have a dead battery, I can kickstart to get home. That is true on the 2-strokes, but not on the 4-strokes. So let's start this thing up for you guys. One thing, real quick, before I start it. This bike came in and it would not run all that great. So got out of the crate, my initial start, I had to hold the throttle just a little bit, not a lot, kind of pull the throttle just a little bit, hold it, start it. I had to hold it for like 4 or 5 minutes, let go of the throttle, it would die out. I did that 2 or 3 times, and then now this morning, after I fully charged the battery again, the thing starts up and runs great. So if you buy a new 4-stroke and you're brand new out of the dealership, and the dealer might not have started it before you took possession of it, please just take the time to do this. So the long goal here is to start this bike and let it run for like 6 or 7 minutes without touching the throttle, and let that stepper motor reset for your elevation. Now obviously if I'm starting it with the throttle on, I'm not really helping that, but it does start to like fine tune itself. So every time I did that and hold it and start it, I started to learn where the bike was. So, you know, where this bike was built is much different than here in Western New York. So it doesn't run great right out of the crate, but you just have to take your time with it. So now that I said all that, it's probably not going to start great. So let's turn this thing over. Glad I started up easy. 4-strokes usually take like 1 or 2 more revolutions than a 2-stroke does. And that's why in hare scramble racing, the 2-strokes dominate still. I'm gonna hit this again just to show you this. So when I hit this button, it's gonna go crank, and then it's gonna fire. It's just the way the 4-strokes are. That extra revolution sometimes really hurts on dead engine starts. So I wish the beta started a little faster on cranking. If you're doing like enduro, wow, that thing is really going nuts. If you're doing sprint enduros, it doesn't matter, your bike's already running. If you're doing dead engine starts, that extra half a second kind of stinks. Again, I was talking about I charge the battery. I always charge the batteries on these bikes when they come in brand new. I want customers to know that the batteries have to be perfect on these 4-strokes. I said it a minute ago, and I'm going to say it again. Perfect battery for these 4-strokes to run. So I always take the charger, run it down through the showroom, charge every bike, 2-stroke or 4-stroke, once every 3 weeks. I want to make sure if the bike is sat here for a month or 2, that's going to be a great bike for the customer. So if you buy a brand new 4-stroke and then it's not running great, you might have to hold the throttle a couple times, but every time it's going to be less and less. And after 4 or 5 times of doing that, you're going to be able to go outside, hit the button, let it start and run. It's called resetting the stepper motor. So do that, your bike will run great. Again, this is Jared at 3Cs Recreation. Thank you guys so much for watching our channel. So many videos coming up on this and the 450RX and other stuff. A lot of cool stuff. So if you wouldn't mind, please consider subscribing, and I'd love to be your dealer. So give us a call. We'll see you on the trail.